I mean, as far as do they have a chance? Are they a legitimate contender? 1,000%.
Yeah, I think so.
And at this point, I'm very excited. This week they have a TNT game to see what the Chuckster says, because at some point you got to wave that white flag.
Which critique of Charles Barkley towards the Lakers are we trying to?
The idea. Well, I mean, when the trade happened, it was that the Lakers got worse and the Mavs were the big winners, at least for this year.
Yeah.
And that was an opinion a lot of people at least somewhat shared, was that for this year the Mavs might be better and that the Mavs were bigger contenders. And then there was the kind of universally held notion that the Lakers wouldn't be able to defend, that LeBron, smartest player ever, who's played more basketball literally than any human being ever to live, I don't think he's going to figure out how to play with a great player, guys. I just don't think, does he know there's only one ball? Like, what is he going to do? Turns out that you put one supercomputer with another supercomputer and the offense is great. Even when the one supercomputer, Luka, wasn't playing great, then yesterday LeBron didn't play great, Luka did. And of course, LeBron is better on defense when he doesn't have to carry the entire offensive workload. All of those things to me were pretty obvious. What I did not like, of course that would happen. I didn't see them all of a sudden becoming the best defense in basketball.
Yeah.
That's remarkable and almost inexplicable. But of course, you have two of the best 8 players in the world right now. And LeBron is still that without a doubt. Luka will be when he's back to full form. Of course you're a contender.
All right, so let's dig in on the defense.
Yeah.
Last 19 games, they are the best defensive team in the league, and 19 is not a small
It's a quarter
sample.
of the season.
So these are mixed in a little bit of a few AD games, but still 16-3, defensive rating 106 is best, opponent's field goal percentage under 42%.
And it really is just a few AD games, because AD got hurt before he was traded.
Yeah, so it didn't even count like the Knicks game.
I think it's just 6 AD games in that.
So here's the thing. This is the odd part of the defensive, their improvement. Their strategy, it seems to be, go ahead and shoot threes.
It's the old Bucks strategy under Coach Bud.
Oh yeah, but
they had a huge rim protector.
So that's the weird thing.
Yes.
So they're go ahead and shoot a three. So opponents are shooting 46% of their points are coming from threes, except they're not making. They're only shooting
46% of their shots are coming from three.
That doesn't make sense.
But they're only making 32%.
Only making 32.
Yeah.
So, and then I was like, well, let me dig into these numbers. Celtics took 41. They made 13. The Warriors took 53. They made 16. Last night, the Clippers shot 39 and made 12. So at some point, either teams this is just a small sample size, even though it doesn't seem like a small sample size, and teams will start to hit these threes, or they are actually this good.
Well,
I'm not willing to say they're the best defensive team, but the numbers say they're the best defensive team.
Well, let me ask you a question, because you were at Celtics Nuggets.
Yeah.
And then I'll get to this specifically. If you looked at just the raw numbers of, wow, the Nuggets missed a lot of wide open threes in that game.
Yeah.
But those were wide open threes that the Celtics wanted to be wide open threes because they wanted Russell Westbrook shooting those threes. He took 8. Christian Brown took 8. So I think that, yes, it is partially, I don't think opponents aren't going to continue shooting 32% necessarily. But it is intentional. And that then brings back a topic that at the beginning of the year, when the Lakers had a middling record or a similar record to last year, was a very popular topic on all these talk shows that talk about the Lakers and get very defensive if anyone about the Lakers talks about the talk shows, was coaching a problem last year? Now, I understand Darvin Ham evidently has more friends than Roy Rogers, but it would appear, Mr. Rogers is what I meant to say, my apologies. Roy Rogers, not what I meant. But can we now objectively say he wasn't doing a good job? Can we say and now I know some have moved the goalpost to, well, remember, in his first year, he made the conference finals. So that's the standard, JJ, you've got to reach, which is kind of weird. It's like, okay, so this year if they make the second round, it's bad. But then if in his third year, you win 45 games, it's improved. Doesn't really make sense, but it's fine. JJ Redick, I was concerned about JJ's ability to handle the day-to-day media scrutiny,
Yep.
because I do think he is a little too online. I think you saw that from one of his quotes last week about what the kids were going to accuse him of doing. Like, that's not something you normally hear from a head coach. And I think that he might be a little too defensive. What nobody questioned was how much he knew basketball. And again, I just want to know the rules of engagement on this stuff. Is it still LeBron James hired his podcast partner? Because if he did, does he get to share the Coach of the Year trophy if JJ wins it? Like, how does it work? I know, like, LeBron traded for Russell Westbrook, but made them trade for Anthony Davis, but doesn't get the 2 rings for the Anthony Davis move. But then does he get the Luka credit? Because you traded AD for Luka, or is it just the bad moves? He forced out poor Darvin Ham. He forced out poor Frank Vogel.
I will answer your question with a question.
Yeah.
If the Lakers flame out in the playoffs, are we allowed to say, oh, that didn't work? Or is it just supposed to be like, he's 40, what do you want him to do?
Well, what does flame out in the playoffs mean? If they lose in round 1, I think
I don't know. I really don't have a sense of what everyone's expectations are now that they're number 2 in the West. What are they supposed to do? So theoretically, lose in the Western Conference Finals, right?
I think that, so if they stay it, I think everyone's expectations normally are play to your seed.
Yeah.
Right? Like that. And so 2 would be that. If they were 2 and Denver was 3, would Denver be the favorite in that series?
Probably.
Maybe, you know what I mean? Be very, very close.
Yeah.
So, but again, they are the 2. They're also, I think, 1 game from being the 4, because 2, 3, 4 is so compacted. So I wouldn't consider, if they end up, let's say they lose 1 game in the standings and fall to the 4 spot, and they play OKC in round 2 and lose, I think
that's fine.
Yeah, and let's say they're the 2-3, the 2 or the 3, and play Denver in round 2.
I think that would be. I think that would be allowed to. I think Denver would still win.
I think that they need to. I think that right now, for me, losing to any team in the West that isn't OKC or Denver, if this team stays at this level of health, is underachieving. And so when it was like you were saying, well, he's 40 when I was talking about the coaching. If we're talking about who is going to get the lion's share of the blame there, we have to see how a series plays out if it happens. I know that the best player is supposed to be Luka. It hasn't been to this point. And so usually the best player gets the focus of it. But up to this point, it hasn't been Luka, it's been LeBron. And so we'll see if he can keep that up.
All right, so all of a sudden, Lakers are in 2nd place, which means, it's part of the rules, they should have an MVP candidate on the team. Here are the MVP odds right now. SGA basically going to run away with it. Then Joker at 2. Giannis far behind, tied with Tatum. What's that, plus 20,000?
Yeah.
Seems like a lot. And then Donovan. Cavs are more of a well-rounded team, so I think it's hard to pick somebody